I do want to start with a big kind of bombshell that dropped in the NFL. You know, sometimes when you get new information, you've got to change the way you look at a story. And for the longest time, Arron Rodgers had kind of been wacky guy, you know, issues with his family. He's jetting around between celebrities and just kind of one of these guys that we couldn't really get a handle on. And now you got a big story that dropped. The Athletic had it, that Arron Rodgers back in 2021 tried to fire his GM Brian Gutekunst, who had been with the organization for 20 years. Now, obviously, you know, when you get somebody who's been with the organization that long, I believe he had been GM since 2018. You need some context. Well, why would Rodgers want this guy out? Why would he do that? Why would he push a power play? And I think the answer is simple, and you've got to, you know, look around the league, and you've got to look in your own life and say, wow, you know, maybe I agree with him. So the context is, in 2020, Arron Rodgers was coming off a good year. They went 13-3 in 2019, and the Packers decide, lo and behold, we're going to not help out the defense, which just got shredded by the 49ers in the NFC title game. They lost 37-20. The Niners memorably had like 8 pass attempts in the entire game. And the Packers, you know, they could draft defense to bolster the roster, and Arron Rodgers gets word from his agent. They traded up for a quarterback, and Rodgers kind of went into a tailspin, and I don't think you can blame him. Ladies and gentlemen, just think about this briefly. You have your job wherever you do. Maybe you're banging out TPS reports in the office or wherever you work. And all of a sudden one day, your boss comes to you and says, hey, we just hired this new guy. I want you to introduce him. I want you to kind of mentor him, and I want you to tutor him. And you look up this new gentleman who was hired, and you're like, wow, this guy's kind of on the same track that I am. He's kind of in my role. Did they just hire my replacement? And you know, Arron Rodgers looks in the mirror and says, wait a sec, I'm in my mid-30s. You guys just drafted a quarterback who was mediocre at best in college. And let's be real, Jordan Love, I think his highlight was leading the country in interceptions his final year in college. And Arron Rodgers was ticked off. And this can go one of two ways when this kind of thing happens. You know, you could do door number one, hey, I'm going to be motivated, and I'm going to kick butt, and I'm going to show them. Or you could go number two and say, hey, this is unacceptable. I've been with the company for a decade, okay? I'm your guy, blood, sweat, and tears poured into this organization. I'm out. And you could reach out around the league or in your job. You could reach out in your landscape of work and say, hey, I need a new job. I'm getting out of here. And it's funny, but we have seen this before, ladies and gentlemen. High-profile quarterback, mid-30s, had a good but not great year. And they went and drafted his replacement. Let me introduce you to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Who could forget 2014? The Patriots go and draft Jimmy Garoppolo, a little-known quarterback. It was not a trade up in the first round. I believe he went second round. And the context here is I was at that NFL Combine right before Garoppolo was drafted, and there was some buzz. Yeah, Garoppolo could be interesting, but Patriots with Brady locked in? And you know what Tom Brady did, of course, memorably? Took it as motivation. Said, you're going to draft my replacement? Tom Brady went on to win the Super Bowl the next year. Remember the awesome Super Bowl he had against Seattle where he drove the length of the field twice in the fourth quarter against the best defense in the league, the Legion of Boom, and the Patriots win Brady's Super Bowl MVP. He showed Belichick, hey, you going to draft my replacement? And, of course, Brady went on to win another Super Bowl. Patriots capitulated and said, okay, fine, we messed up. We'll ship Garoppolo out of town. That was not good enough for Brady. Yeah, everybody knows he ended up leaving to go to Tampa where he won another Super Bowl, and then he really showed Bill Belichick how he made just a catastrophic mistake drafting Garoppolo. And now you look at Arron Rodgers, and folks, let's be real. Arron Rodgers used it as motivation the year after Jordan Love was drafted. What did Rodgers do? He threw 48 touchdown passes, nearly doubled his output from the year prior. Motivation. You're drafting my replacement? Bleep off, Brian Gutekunst. I'm going to go win an MVP. And then the year after, he won another one. But the problem here is he tried to get Gutekunst fired, according to the story, and the Packers refused to do it. Now, that's where it gets dicey. The Patriots said, we will trade Garoppolo. The Packers, they refused to trade Jordan Love. Arron Rodgers unhappy. Arron Rodgers forced his way out. Can you blame him? Just think about it for a moment. Can you really blame Arron Rodgers for demanding they fire the GM? It doesn't happen, and then Arron Rodgers bailing. I think this story coming out now, a couple weeks, 3 weeks after the Jets land Arron Rodgers in what everybody thinks is like a massive win. Jets finally have a franchise quarterback. And everybody's questioning, well, Arron Rodgers, that's a wacky guy. He went on a darkness retreat. Okay, he's going to Taylor Swift concerts in New York now with the guy from Top Gun Maverick, Miles Teller, his actor buddy. This is a new Arron Rodgers. As a Jets fan, and everybody knows I'm born in New York, massive Jets fan. I think you've got to look at this like, wait a minute. Maybe Rodgers isn't that wacky dude who goes from dating celebrities to having issues with his family and his brother. And maybe this is like a genuine, I'm ticked off at a franchise I poured my life into for a decade. I was standout in the community. I was a leader on the field. I was a leader, not always, but occasionally off the field. And you're going to kick me to the curb in my mid-30s for my replacement? How do you expect him to respond? I think it's a normal reaction that Tom Brady had in New England and that now Arron Rodgers had in Green Bay. And the Packers, well, they're up the creek without a paddle. They now have to hope that Jordan Love is their guy replacing Rodgers. And folks, this is going to reflect poorly on the GM if Jordan Love is not able to deliver. Meanwhile, Arron Rodgers, you got to be excited if you're a Jets fan. Now, I know the deal is kind of front-loaded, and if he doesn't play enough games or snaps or whatever it is, that, yeah, maybe he steps away and the Packers don't get a number 1 pick. But if you're a Jets fan, I think you've got to be excited that perhaps this is a motivated Rodgers. Maybe he's going to be as motivated as Brady was to go to Tampa and win a Super Bowl. And, last week, Colin alluded to Rodgers looking younger and more into it, almost a different guy. He's a different dude in New York because he's away from that toxic environment where he wanted the GM fired. The GM would not fire him, or the president would not fire the GM. And Rodgers is kind of like stuck in no man's land. I'm delivering. I got you guys 2 MVP awards. I put us in position to win the Super Bowl. I know he didn't deliver. He didn't actually win the Super Bowl. And you can go back to that tough inside the 10 play where he could have maybe run in the NFC Championship game against the Bucs. He could have maybe run for the touchdown, did not quite get there. They opt to kick the field goal. That's history. But if you're a Jets fan, this is a great day feeling that, wow, we could have Arron Rodgers, not 1 year, but maybe 2 years. We don't have to worry about that Zach Wilson nonsense. But I will say, this whole idea of trying to move on from a superstar, I did some reading on vacation, and I came across this Russian proverb where you try to wash the bear without making him angry. And that, of course, is impossible to wash him, get a bear's fur wet, and he's not going to get angry. That's impossible. It is extremely difficult to do that. We've got a franchise quarterback. He's getting up there in age, and we do want to move on. How do you delicately do it? We saw this with the Golden State Warriors, ladies and gentlemen. James Wiseman, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga. How tough was that season? It just happened. Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. Yeah, the punch kind of ruined it. Jordan Poole, we gave him the big contract. Now Klay Thompson's all worried. Is he going to get paid? Draymond's upset that maybe Jordan Poole's the new Klay. Jordan Poole's running his mouth. It is extremely challenging for these organizations to have a franchise guy and pivot to the next generation without falling off a cliff. I'll go back to Dan Marino, memorably in Miami. They had their guy. They get to a Super Bowl. Never got back there again. Had Dan Marino for 15 years. You got your franchise quarterback. You lose him. And now you're in the wilderness. The Miami Dolphins haven't done jack squat since losing Marino. And I don't want to be too negative here on the Packers. But actions speak louder than words. And their actions toward the Jordan Love contract, not great. They did not do the 5th-year option. They give him an incentive-laden 1-year extension. It almost reads as if they're not sure Jordan Love's the guy. And now will Green Bay be in the wilderness looking to replace Favre and then Rodgers and then forever? It's going to be extremely difficult. So very challenging for the Packers, very optimistic for my Jets.